Zaga
All
for
right.
discussion of the budget, and then we can see the people here from different departments that we can call up and have them go over their budget with you.
Okay. All right, so I'll open it up to discussion for everyone on the council and the mayor.
Forgot to place the flag.
You got me. All right, let's salute the flag. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Anybody on the council want to start, have a comment?
I'll start. We're looking at a tax increase of 4%. Is there anything that we can do with this right now to bring that down a little bit? Tax Joe?
Can't hear you in that. Sorry.
Microphone closer.
Does this thing work? Can you hear me on this thing?
It's not working.
No, not working.
No, you can't.
All right, you know what? I'm just going to use my voice. I said, we're looking at a 4% tax increase, and I asked Joe if there was any place where we could look at this thing to really get it down to something where it's livable and will function for everybody. Joe?
Right now, the spending plan that's in this proposed budget is 4%. I think if the governing body wants to go through or talk to department heads and see what can be cut further, I think that's up to the members of the dais. I recommend you should probably have the department heads come up and discuss what they want to, what's in their budgets, and see if there's something that can be cut or not.
Code enforcement, please.
Good evening, everybody. I'm Frank Speranza, your construction official.
Okay. Frank, we were talking about what you guys get paid for doing inspection and everything like that, and then when it's extra days, how much are they getting for that extra day?
What was set up by past administration was $25 an hour.
Okay. And what's your current, for the individuals when they're working?
We work 2 days a week, 2 hours a day.
Okay. At how much?
If you go by what their salary is and figure it out, it winds up to be anywhere from $35 to $37 per hour.
So when you ask them to come in for extra days, they're only getting paid $25 an hour?
Right now, yes.
Okay. Well, I feel that's unfair that they're getting paid at 35 or 37, and they're coming in for that extra day, the extra days and everything, at $25 an hour. I don't know what you guys see it.
So you guys, your salary, right?
Yeah, we're salaried employees,
And
and
it works out to be about $37.50.
when you figure it out,
Mhm.
it comes about 37.
And then when you do the in-call, that's when you're called in, it's only $25 an hour.
Correct. And that would be the extra inspections that we do when school projects come up, and we don't get paid for permits for the school projects. That's fee waived. If we get overloaded with inspections, we bring guys in on extra days. This way the residents and the contractors, get an inspection and don't have to wait, a large amount of time.
The 25 an hour, is it just a straight 25 an hour, or is it a minimum number of hours on, that you're getting?
No, if they're at the school for 3 hours, it's 3 hours.
So they're not getting a minimum amount of time?
No, sir.
Okay, no.
In the past years, in 18, we were given to 3,000, and we wound up using 59 hours. When you do the calculation, it came out to 1475. If it was at $35, it comes to $2,065, so we would still be under that $3,000. Last year, we were given $2,000. Again, we used 38 hours, that was $950 at the 25. If we used the 35 rate, it would have been $1,330. So we're talking about $400 more per year extra. And again, that's what we've been budgeting for the past few years. So it's been, that fluctuated, that extra money fluctuated from year to year.
But you never received that 35?
No, we never bumped it up. That was in my request, when we give the budget in November, the past few years, but we never did anything with that.
Oh, you have anything?
What's that?
Anything, Lynn?
I understand it. Is there anything we can do on fees to adjust them a little bit, or we set by state code on those?
Well, we're set by ordinance, and the state gives us a number to start with. We currently lost some revenue due to the state taking away fees for permits for certain items. But they've also increased other items that we have to do inspections on, so we still have to go out. So there's really nothing we can do. We don't want to raise the rates, because then if we bring in more money than we're spending, or if we're spending more, if we don't use the money, then we have to do an audit and then wind up coming in and lowering our rates. Then what happens, you get into that cycle where the rates are low, and then we have a deficit, so then we have to raise, But right now, we've been pretty good. We raised the rates a few years ago, and we've been pretty steady with what we've been bringing in.
Raised it just even a couple bucks, would that help at all, or would that just mess things up?
On the permit fees,
Yeah.
I don't know if you want to raise the rates on the fees. I think we're pretty good with where we're at. At some point, some items were lower than the other towns, some were right with the other towns. But if we start lowering the rates, then I think we're going to be looking for more money, and we won't be bringing it in. Right now, we're trying to we're pretty close with being self-sufficient. We pay, but I don't want to. If we lower them, then we're going to be trying to find money. Right now, the permit fees are taking care of most of our expenses.
So, Frank, just so I'm understanding, so it looks like last year there was $2,000 in this line for calling, and only 200 was used?
No. Last year,
Or, I'm sorry, you said 13, what was in the letter, 1,300?
for 2019,
Right.
there was 2,000. At the $25 rate, we used 38 hours, so it was $950. Again, if we went to the $35, you're talking a difference of $400, and that would be over the whole year, and that's at 38 hours.
Mr. Mayor, Dawn, where, or Joe, was this a negotiated contract, this number, or where did the 25 come from in the past? Does anyone know?
It went back years. They're non-union employees. And actually Frank and I did discuss this a few weeks ago when we were going over his budget, and we had talked about increasing it to somewhere in the middle, about 30. And I believe the 3,000 that the line item was increased for will cover that.
So it was 25, the 37 that was asked, you guys were talking, said around 30 would be feasible?
Yeah, well, that's what
Well,
we discussed.
Right. I definitely feel that 25 should be raised,
I feel that it should be raised.
so I don't
To
know.
be even out to be the same as what they were doing the 2 days.
Can I explain? That all came about when Mayor Zagnit was here in the office, and at that time, we were extremely busy. We had the Renaissance projects, a couple of the schools, the high school I think was being done, and we just couldn't keep up with 2 days a week. As you know, the salaries were were nowhere near, to the other towns. So that's why he had gave us the $25. It helped at the time so we can get the inspections done. But it just seems like right now, it's to call someone in, it's, when guys are looking at other towns, some towns are paying $50 an hour for a per diem inspector. I don't think we gotta go there. I think we're pretty good where we're at. I got a good group of guys, but we're just looking to try to get, be on a little level playing field, that's all. I don't wanna lose the guys we got. And most of us now are even cross-licensed, so when the fire guy is out, I'll do a fire inspection, the building guy will do a plumbing inspection, so we have coverage in that respect. That's why the hours can come down from 2018 to 2019. There are days that I can't get a guy to do, the inspection because his load is so large, so we bring him in an extra day.
So with bringing guys in the extra day, how long do people have to wait for an inspection on average?
When we bring them in for an extra day, maybe a day or so. Because again, right now, we're 2 days a week. We're pretty good with getting it done within the state gives us a 72-hour window. So we have been pretty good with that. I will say the plumbing department, is the top inspection department. It's the highest one because there's more water heaters, more boilers. There's a lot more plumbing work that's going on, and there's more inspections involved with plumbing. But we're trying not to let people wait more than 2 or 3 days.
So in our budget, looks like 3,000 was requested and 3,000 was considered.
Correct, this is a proposed budget.
Right. I know there's a variable because we don't know how many times individuals are going to get called in. But Frank, you had said that if it was at 3,750, we would still be under the 3,000, or we were right around that number?
Well, again, the first year we got the 3,000 and we had 59 hours.
Mm-hmm.
If we did 59 at $35 an hour, that's only 2,065, so we'd still be under. Last year we did 38 hours combined. Well, that's all the inspectors. And that would have been 1,330. So it would have been under what we were requesting. But again, I'm just trying to keep the department running at a good pace so that this way we don't get complaints. That's the big thing. We're trying not to get complaints.
If we were to raise this number, there's no contract or anything, so it's just a ordinance that we say this is what they're going to be making, or?
We would change it in the salary resolution when we adopt it after the budget.
Yeah, when you did a non-union salary resolution after the budget, you include something like that in there. Saying it's going at $35 or whatever you choose, instead of 25.
So like I said, I agree that it should be raised. I'm willing to propose that we go to 35 an hour.
I'll be on they'll do the resolutions, whatever.
Okay. Thank you very much for your time.
All right.
You guys have any more questions for code enforcement?
I don't.
No, I don't. So Frank, if you'd like to.
Frank, we're good.
Unless you want to stay, you can.
All right.
Thank you.
Just trying to open the door.
We have anything to report?
Thanks, Frank.
Have a good evening.
Can I break down this increase before you guys go a little further?
I'm sorry?
Can I break down this increase a little bit before you guys go down a little further here? Okay, because I think the public would like to know that. The actual increase is 3.99%. It comes to a raise in $284,500 in taxes. Of that 3.99%, if I'm saying this too fast or anybody writing, please tell me. 2.98% will be in overall salary and wages increases. That's all departments, everybody. That works out at 2.98%. 0.84% is our recycling increase, which is $60,000 increase. Our debt service is $44,493 at 0.62%. Our health benefits, $84,000 at 1.18%. There'll be no change at all this year in water and sewer rates. They won't be going up. Of our surplus money, because this is a question that gets asked every year as well, we used 81.39% this year. We had 1,404,000. We used 1,142,000. We never use it all because you just never know. And that's a breakdown basically of the increase. Now, table's back to you, Joe.
All right. Kevin, why don't you come on up? What's that?
Good evening. Okay, we have to excuse the rustling real quick. I want to find where you're at here. No problem. Okay, 20.
For us to get going or what?
Got the drip going on, that's what I got going.
Stay away from
Corona.
Yeah.
No.
Don't start that.
Heineken Light, it's better.
Looks like most of your stuff just remains unchanged.
Right.
Yeah, we were pretty much flat across the
Yeah,
board.
looks like everything's just flat across the board, so.
Yeah, I didn't have
Well, I figured you're not gonna be up there that long. Figure out. What do you got to tell us?
What's that?
What do you got to say to us?
All is good, hopefully we can, work with this, we'll be fine with it, if you guys can leave it alone like we did, and, I think we'll be all right. We have nothing major, obviously, except for the truck coming in and the firehouses situation. Other than that, just standard gear and equipment upkeep and maintenance.
When's the truck coming?
Should be, they keep moving up, maybe August now?
I was gonna say, our last update was a final inspection somewhere in
Mid-July.
mid-July. They don't have a delivery date expected yet. Obviously, contract is by September,
Yeah.
but the way it's looking, I would say sometime early August
Yeah.
at the very latest.
Right.
As long as we go through the final inspection, fine and everything, they don't have anything major to fix. I think we
Or
don't-
change,
Yeah.
so, should be good though.
Not expecting anything on it, are you?
What's that?
You're not expecting any changes or anything on it like that, are you?
No.
No, I'll tell you what, when we went through the pre-engineering process, they're very thorough and they want to make sure that everything's dotted and they're constantly making calls even before they even, when they go from every engineering department throughout, every engineering department's calling us to make sure that everything they're reading is exactly what we told them to do, so they're very thorough.
Yeah, they're really good with the specs, and this is fourth time down the road with this company. They're a good outfit, very thorough, they do a great job.
Anything else for you, gentlemen?
I don't have anything.
Okay, appreciate it. You know where to find me if you have any questions.
That's it right there.
Towards the back.
Page 124.
What is it?
124? I haven't, you want to see this?
All right, I guess we'll do the municipal court.
Hello.
Good evening.
68, Ed? 68?
68. Thought we were ready, but. Here we go.
Yeah, I know, there's taking me a week to figure it out.
You're looking to go up almost $30,000 on the part-timers. What's going on with that?
30,000 on the part-timers?
Yeah, it says
It says requested 50,800
Well,
asterisk, we have-
Based on 20 hours a week at $20 an hour.
Yeah, but if you look, Ted, there's an asterisk next to it, and it goes to
I don't have
the
that.
judge.
I don't
Yeah,
know.
okay.
Okay.
So for the judge, court help is 5,000, part-time deputy court is 20,000.
None of those notes are in line.
Okay.
That's why I'm asking. They got notes I don't have in line, so.
I distributed it
Yeah, here,
to all
I'll
of
look
you.
on back.
Yeah, we'll look on.
Okay. I see the difference now, that's why I was asking, because I didn't have any kind of justification on it,
Mhm.
why it would jump so much, for part-timers.
Mhm.
Do we have any questions? Okay.
Did you get that memo today from the Judge Hughes, right? About they're using college kids now as interns?
I did not receive a memo today from Judge
Okay.
Rivas.
Do you think that would work for us?
No, other than filing, because in order to work in the office, you have to be trained by the judiciary. I mean, certain things, obviously, I can teach, but you have to go through the classes and get the training.
So it'd be more like a trainee than anything else, so you'd be spending more time training.
Basically, yeah.
I have to ask.
No, in fact, I've spoken to my division manager's office about that, and they've offered to send, one of their people here to help me, and I'm like, I need somebody who can hit the ground running, because I don't have time to train somebody. That's the problem,
So we need an experienced person.
yes. And they're insisting on a deputy court administrator as opposed to a violations clerk. Deputy court administrator has to be at least conditionally accredited, which means they have to have taken the first 3 levels of the class and then get the 4th level in within 6 months of hire to become fully accredited.
Who's insisting on that, AOC?
Yes,
And that's some of the stuff
that's the law.
And have access to different, computer stuff that's not privileged to.
The judiciary
Right.
computer systems. Mhm.
Like sieges and all that stuff, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
ITS, ACS, Max, Page Center
Right.
reports that we do, yes.
So you were requesting those 50,000, 800?
Well, that is for,
25 for
that
judge,
includes the
fine.
judge,
Right.
the 25,000 for the judge, who hasn't had, I don't think he's ever had a raise, and he doesn't want one at this time. 5,000 is for the court help, the court administrator from South River, Cassandra Garrick, comes in and works my nighttime court sessions with me, and that's to cover her.
That's
And
5,000?
I don't think that we even use that much every year, but we have to have it in there.
So, the judge is not getting a raise, right?
Historically, that has not happened
Okay.
here. It's higher for a second.
I'm just trying to figure out the asterisk that you have on the number.
That's just the breakdown of the 50,800,
Okay,
the allotment.
okay, just point us over to that direction.
Yeah.
So then you'll be okay with the 30,000 then?
I'm sorry,
30,000.
Well, that's what it says, administration recommends 30,000.
Oh, 30, she's asking.
I'm trying to go between,
You gotta go through it.
Are you in the
I got a
department head
different
request section, or are you in the
Well, I have-
admin's worksheets?
I don't know both up.
I got both of them, I
my
got
my
both of them right
worksheet
here,
doesn't
so
have the salary, so.
Yeah,
I'm both.
So, this was requested,
right,
and this is what was suggested to us.
okay.
So if you're saying that the judge ain't gonna get nothing,
Judges, they ask when he wants something, he hasn't asked. We've had conversations and he has not asked for one.
So if you take that 25 out for him,
However, I will add to that, that if Helmeta Court some decade moves over here, at that time, he probably will look for an increase.
You can address that when that happens.
The wheels now, hopefully further than they've ever been.
Do we know where that stands?
Right now, it's in the hands of the DCA. They're working with getting us funding for a part-time.
Oh, really?
Yes, there's a program supposedly now, we're working on it, that
Okay.
gives us 2 years of financial no
Oh,
obligation.
I wasn't aware.
And we're hoping that comes true fast.
Mhm.
I know the police are hoping it comes true fast.
so. Leave it at 30 then?
Yeah, because the judge is giving him.
Right.
Right. He's regular pay, right? 30 is what they're asking, mine is the judge tonight.
they're asking for 50.
It looks like
I was asking
30
50.
is minus the deputy.
We're asking for 50.
30 is minus the deputy.
Oh, okay. 20, that's for deputy, okay. You telling us the deputy's gonna become mandatory or is mandatory now?
the division, my division manager's office and meetings that we've had here, they want me to have a deputy court administrator. In fact, by court rule, every court is supposed to have one. We posted the job last year, I think it was last year,
Yes.
when the towns were in talks of merging the courts, and we didn't really get any bites, any valid bites, and then it just kind of went away.
This helps in your decision at all, gentlemen. This is from Alberto Rivas, assignment check. Municipal Division conducts an annual visitation of each municipal court in the county of Middlesex to assess the needs of the court. In our findings, we realize that most of our courts are understaffed or need extra office help. We make recommendations to the court on how much staff is required to operate the court efficiently. We understand the courts remain understaffed due to budgeting restraints. However, it creates a significant burden on the operations of the court. As a result, the division would like to inform you that we're implementing a municipal court internship program, which is not really going to help right now, because these are interns, these are trainees. But my point is the first part of the paragraph where they do recognize there is an issue and that it has to be addressed. Is it a mandate? No, there's no mandate, but that doesn't mean it shouldn't happen. If you're trying to alleviate the stress levels of court, I'm sure things get backlogged like they do in every department.
They go over and do Helmeta too, correct?
Yeah, but we also have, as Gloria told you, we have tried to hire a part-time, and it's very, very hard to get one.
And I think that the reason for that is that the amount of training that goes into becoming accredited, then conditionally accredited, then accredited, and then if they want to get certified, who's gonna wanna work part-time after going through all that training? You want a full-time job.
Let me ask you this, if Helmeta's court does get folded in here,
Mhm.
what about their court clerk? Would she be able to?
She's me right now.
Sorry?
She's me right now.
Oh, she's you right now?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, Danielle Tanzi is the acting court administrator. She's out on maternity leave, so I've been appointed acting court administrator while she's out. But she works full-time in Plainsboro Court.
So she's not gonna come here
And-
part-time?
No, and the violations clerk who works there, Christine Hughes, also works in Plainsboro Court full-time. So
So forget
it
about
would be a new position.
Forget about Helmeta. I thought maybe, you know, if it gets folded in at some
Yeah.
point, somebody would be okay with taking a part-time job later.
Right.
So you're basically saying getting the part-timers is slim to none?
Well, just based on our experience last year. I mean,
How many days a week is this job gonna be if you get the part-timers?
20 hours, 20 hours. When I worked here as part-time deputy court administrator back in 2003, I worked 20 hours a week. So I worked like 8:30 to 12, no, I came in 10 to 2, and then I worked court nights. And if I used up all my hours on a court night, then I wouldn't come in on Friday.
What about some administrator that's retired from somewhere that wants to do part-time?
Right, there aren't any right now. They would have applied,
Okay.
you know, I'm not trying to be difficult, it's just,
No,
that's the way it is.
I'm just kind of like thinking here, you know,
Right,
somebody who's got.
That would be-
some
that
other
would be
firm that wants
perfect.
To make a few extra bucks.
right, right.
Regardless, if you're gonna hire someone, you have to leave the number in the budget. Because if you don't have the number in the budget, you're not hiring anybody.
But we can revisit that door in a year even if you ever get somebody.
Right now, that number is not in the proposed budget, so you'd have to increase court salaries and wages to cover
Okay.
the part-timer.
If we don't use it,
Then it goes, sits there, and goes into surplus the following year.
Why, so they asked for 50,800, and then we took out the deputy court administrator, which brought it down to 30. But we still have 25 in there for the judge, which we don't think the judge is gonna get and take it, or request anything.
That's what he gets.
Oh, that's
That
right.
is
Oh,
his salary.
I thought that was
That's
an
not,
addition.
no.
Oh, okay, I thought you were asking for addition there. That's
No,
what
no,
that
no,
was.
no, no.
Okay, I'm sorry.
he's not looking for.
All right. I was like, that didn't make sense to me, okay.
Well, I think that
So
20,800 should be left put it in their budget, and then if they don't use it, then they don't find somebody, because you can't let her keep, pulling that kind of weight by herself.
You probably wouldn't need the 20,008 because you're already 3 months in, almost, so that's for a full year, I would assume, right, 20,008?
Yes.
Yeah, so you probably can cut 1/4 of it at least, which is what, 5,000?
Yeah.
We'll just,
So then you just leave it at 10 or 15?
I wouldn't, if we're gonna put it in there, I think I'd take your recommendation, maybe put 15 on that line.
it's there.
I would agree with that, because if you find somebody, it's gonna be a little while. So,
So we'll go with 15 then.
put 15 in, if you find somebody, then we'll revisit it next year. on mine.
What do you think the chances are of finding somebody in the next 2 months, realistically?
Your guess is as good as mine. We had 3 resumes last go around. 2 of them were unqualified and the other was not somebody who would have been a good fit. Based on discussions with previous administrators.
That's the new warning system for the borough.
That's your 5 minutes.
If one that just told me to turn my phone off, I can tell you that.
I think we pretty much all agree that, we'll put the 15,000 back in there for the time being and see what happens with it. Good luck with it.
This is your questions.
Right, okay, yeah, I remember that. So that's basically it, that was the only thing under question, correct?
Any discussion?
Okay.
Does anybody else have any questions?
Any more questions?
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Huh?
Donna?
I'm also gonna do rec.
Huh?
I'll also handle rec.
You wanna do rec too?
Yeah, they're not able to make it tonight.
There's a lot of coughing around here. I'm ready.
Everybody's hacking away.
You're doing rec also? I just want to make sure I have the right paperwork in front of me.
To the best of my ability.
We're gonna start 41, Office on Aging, and then rec falls in after that.
Yep.
Keep 41, mine's on 61.
41 on the budget sheet.
This is the
41
request
is budget.
paperwork, you know?
I got the wrong one rolling through my fingers here.
You want the one that says Edmunds worksheets, line item detail?
Got some of it. Let's mix it up with this one.
Maybe Joe or Dawn can answer something. Office on Aging janitorial requesting 10-2, we're recommending 2, why is the difference of $10,000?
Either Donna or I can answer that one, it's a pretty easy one.
Before, we had our own cleaning service, the Office on Aging, separate from the municipal building. Last year, we combined the 2.
Okay.
So instead of having 2 separate line items, we made it one under DPW.
So it's all coming out of buildings and grounds now.
Yeah, Office on Aging, they requested 10-2. It's 2.
Oh, okay.
It's
Yeah.
cleaning bill. It's
Yep.
all coming out of one spot. So it doesn't look like you have too many changes in there. Pretty much flat, same as this. Let's go to rec. Tell us what you got there. Arts and crafts. Got this position for a door monitor now.
Pretty much flat.
Yeah, rec is fine. I have nothing for rec.
The repair and maintenance, 3,000 down to 1, is that coming out of some of the building fund also?
Actually, that was a request from Diane. She took some money out of some of the accounts so that she could add more to arts and crafts
Okay.
to allow for the security monitor that the school was requiring.
Okay.
That's a ton, it's just
Oh, okay. Oh, put it over there. Oh.
Anything you want to tell us?
No, appreciate all your time and hopefully we can move forward and have another good year.
You're out of here.
Thanks, Tom.
Thank you.
Anybody here from the library? I heard she's on vacation.
EMS.
How you doing, everybody?
You don't have much in the way of changes either.
No.
Now, there was some talk about another ambulance.
Yeah,
Capital.
that's on the capital side, so we're
That's the capital.
What are you looking to get?
I'm looking at, I wanted to get 2 new ambulances, this year.
Can you leave with one?
I can, deal with one, because one of our ambulances is 20 years old, so, and we keep bringing it in and out of, for maintenance. Sorry. I think we almost used all our maintenance budget last year for fixing the vehicles. All our vehicles are actually older. Everything's over 5 years old that we have. Responders, ambulances. I just found out today the Charger's gonna have to get a new engine put in eventually. Probably in the next like 2 or 3 months. So, you know.
We got any more cars we can give the chief?
We can talk about that, it's coming right up.
Yeah, I'll take whatever we could get.
Is that the Charger that already had your engine replaced?
Yes,
Yeah, it's the same Charger.
And it needs an engine again.
Yeah, it's gonna need another
so I
engine.
will never get them again.
Hemis are notorious for that.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
That's why the police departments are getting away from them.
See, the reason for it is because I have a Hemi, and so do you. But they're not predicated on the old way of changing oil on an engine was 3,500 miles, you change the oil. Hemis are done on hours. So the more hours you put on, the faster you chew up that oil. And they take synthetic oil. So if you put anything else in besides synthetic, doesn't do any good for that motor.
Yeah, we just, in our Trailblazer, we just put a new engine in that this year, so.
How much is an engine for that? Just
For that truck was, I believe,
no, for the Charger.
the Charger, I got quotes today, 6,300, and that's a, aftermarket, and the actual motor that goes in the car is 7,300.
6,300 is not a Hemi, or it is another Hemi?
It's the same, it's an aftermarket one though. It's not the original.
Manufactured, it's not a brand new. What about the ambulances, what are you looking to get on those?
Looking to get, I got, handouts if you guys wanna see it. So,
I think
it's
you
like,
got them in your package.
yeah, did you get it?
Unless they're updated.
Yeah, it's the
What
same
you
one.
gave with your budget.
Yeah, it's the same one.
Okay.
But I actually have specs if you wanna see them.
Yeah, I'd like one.
Yeah. That truck, I believe, is 146,000.
And what if we look at something like a Sprinter?
The Sprinter, actually, actually, the Dodge Sprinter, I seen that crash, recently on one of my employees, so at his other job, and I wouldn't recommend getting them. The whole engine came out of the front of the truck. I don't think they're safe. I
They're
think,
looking at the same thing as a van, or a collision course.
So I think box ambulance is the way to go. So, that's my opinion.
140 is equipped?
Yeah, 140 comes with everything, that's lettering, comes with all the BLS equipment except for a defib, comes with a new stair chair. We just had to use our old stretchers that we have, because they're like $10,000 each, so 146 pretty much, and all I have to do is put a defib on it and put a stretcher in it and get it licensed by the state.
10 grand for a stretcher?
Yep. 10 grand.
Is that the kind that lifts automatically so that
Yeah.
it reduces back injury?
Yep. I mean, the auto load system I'd love to have in our truck, but that's $40,000 alone, so. I mean, that puts out like 190.
10,000 for a stretcher.
Yep. And then the only other thing is I'm looking for a Lucas device, which is a CPR machine. They're about 20 grand. Saves on injuries of employees and back injuries. You know, so, and 2 new stair chairs, which are all in the capital improvement budget. I think the whole thing I was asking for was $322,000. So, for capital improvements, but otherwise than that, we just need vehicles. We need to be safe for our residents and for my employees.
Thanks.
Anything else? There's a separate sheet for capital. Yeah, we're good. We're good?
Yeah, thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, guys. Chief, you're up.
Let's go. Sit down. Good evening. I'll be brief. I really think that we don't have that many issues. I'd just like to begin by saying every year when I do this budget, I spend a lot of time on it, and I always am willing to slash and cut, and I don't promise to save money, but it's always a goal. I don't like to promise anything. So, on this year, there were some issues. So, I'd like to begin by, after my budget gets started, it goes upstairs and it gets slashed and cut like Crazy Eddie, and it's okay. And I have no issues with that. I acquiesce to some of the cuts. I just have, maybe it's a typo or something. One, my overtime in police, which is an issue. It's been an issue since September and October respectively, since last year, when we had an injury to both Patrolman Sergeant Pfeiffer and Patrolman Silvestro. That's still occurring today. I anticipate that budget really going up on the overtime. So I put in for 200,000, which traditionally it's always been 150,000. So now it's down to 135. And it's just,
It's 200.
It's 200.
I don't know, on my worksheet it says 135.
Yeah, I sent down sheets to you a couple weeks ago.
This is the PD revised that I got from upstairs. Okay.
We do have 200 in there.
Yep.
So let me just segue that. I mean, that's a high number. It's never been that high before, although last year it did go over. So in the budget this year, I asked for personnel. And I asked for another officer. And I did that knowing that for the last 3 cycles of PBA contracts, those were favorable to management. They were slashed, they were cut, they were decimated, depending on who you ask and what adjective you want to use. There's nothing left in those contracts. There's no educational requirement. There's a 12-step guide, which means if you start law enforcement in Spotswood, it takes you almost half your career to get the top step. I thought it was an ideal time when Mike Gardini left at a high rate, with all the old accoutrements in there, including longevity at 6.5%, to maybe do a 2-for-1. And the goal with that was to save money. Because there's been all kinds of approaches to saving money, but what's never gone down is the overtime. And there's been conversations back and forth, CFO, business administrator, labor attorneys, and nobody really asked me. And along the lines of fleet management, we added cars. People couldn't understand that concept. How is that going to save You know, getting more cars, we're losing money. No, we're not. We're not running these cars into the ground and hot bunking them, as we like to say. It's the same thing with these officers. There's no fat in the police department. And on a pure protein diet, it's starvation, and we have nowhere to trim. This is chess, this is not checkers in the police department. There's nowhere to pull anybody, move anybody. When a body goes down, it's overtime. And I use this analogy of the spoke in the wheel, because when the spoke doesn't support the felly or the hub, its structural integrity goes down. I put it in my budget proposal. I just offered this as a solution, because I know it will work. All the projects I've undertaken here, nobody wanted to take on as a chief. I did. They're successful. I haven't missed yet. We got a better chance of saving money with an additional employee, and I'll tell you why. Just today, and I'll be sending a memo up to the business administrator probably when I know tomorrow sometime. We have an issue with one of our members, a serious family issue, a serious illness that's going to require an extended absence. The extent to it, I don't know. The doctor's appointment is tomorrow, but I anticipate that being a FMLA issue and additional overtime. So the overtime now with Patrolman Silvestro and Sergeant Pfeiffer being out is a 3-prong overtime. It is minimum manpower on 2 shifts, but one of them is a sergeant. So not only are we paying minimum manpower, we're also paying an elevation in sergeant salary as well. So I leave that to the governing body. I know that I hoped last year, knowing that obviously you can't hire, it's not budgeted for, that we moved into 2020 and it was jumped on, and we could have got what I believe is a stellar candidate, and we didn't have a real great crop of candidates in the last hire. We were lucky to get her. She's sitting at the desk right now, and she's anxious, you know, to be here. That's not my decision. I would like it to happen, but the only way we could bring that number down, is if we get another body in here and fill one of those holes. So I do watch the council meetings sometimes, and I did hear some of the comments, and it's like, well, what happens if these people come back? So let me just address that real quick. The qual care reports, or Cigna, whatever they want to name themselves this week, they do go upstairs, they go to the borough clerk. Stuart Pfeiffer had surgery on his shoulder. I'm not a doctor, I don't know why, but the anchors tore away from the rotator cuff. So he has a rotator cuff tear from post-surgery and anchors loose in the same shoulder. So he's gonna have to get cut again. So his year anniversary on workman's comp is in September. I have to be a realist, and I don't know if he's gonna make it back from that. And I don't know if the doctor's gonna clear him for that. So worst case scenario, it's a botched surgery or it's a result of PT, damage to the surgery. He's gonna exceed that year minimally. He was 6 months out and moving along in PT, and now it's a complete setback. So Paul Silvestro has nerve damage in his neck, he has nerve damage in the lower back, and he has a hip issue as well, and that's been extended. So I have no anticipation when he's coming back. And I anticipate him being out the year of comp, the year of workman's comp. Usually after a year, we have to reassess that, see if there's a fitness for duty. I've been through that before. I'm hoping it doesn't get to that, but I have to be a realist, and I'm not gonna get him back, so.
That was all involved with the accident.
From the accident.
You're thinking Patrolman Silvestro's not coming back at all?
No, I don't think he's gonna be back for at least a year. That'll put us into October of 2020. By that time, that overtime budget's gonna skyrocket. We schedule the overtime on the weekends because it's steady and it's easier to cover. So you're talking about 32 hours of overtime every weekend. Listen, overtime is wonderful, but after a while, my little honeys don't want to do it anymore. I'm just telling you, this is my world. So I offered that to you, so as a possible solution. Can I manage it? Absolutely.
One of the things I brought up at the council meeting the other night was this hire that you want to make with this girl. What about putting her on as a special for now so you don't lose her, and then when you get an opening, slide her into full-time?
She has a possibility to go to South Brunswick on a full-time, so she's not gonna hang around. I don't blame her for that. We lost Jessica Roca off the desk. The problem with the special twos is, let me just go through that. They're on an egg timer. They have to get a full-time cert or they're gonna lose that special two cert. The special two cert. The other thing is, I have to outfit them like a regular cop. I have to train them like a regular cop, I gotta put them through FTO, and they can't work unsupervised in Helmetta. With the Helmetta leg, the component of Helmetta there, I can't put 2 people down there.
No, I know you can't ever put her in helmet, but I'm just saying that
It doesn't work for me.
that helped out keeping running.
Here's another thing.
Now putting her on as a special.
I'm gonna spend $6,000 on a special 2 to have their egg timer going off while we're paying them and they're shopping around for another job. We have the same issue on a lesser scale with the part-time dispatchers. For $16 an hour, a lot of times they're younger, they come in here, but they want to be a police officer, looking for a full-time position. Jessica Rogan, she left him, she's now a Metuchen police officer, so. The turnover, and the CFO can attest to this, on the back end, part-timers sometimes gobble up money on the back end. And that's what happens with that. It's a savings on the front end, but if you keep turning over people, you keep having to retrain them, and re-outfit them, and re-equip them, that's part of the issue. I had the lieutenant here because I wanted him to just speak to you real quickly about his leg on being a training coordinator for me in the police department, and some of his woes on bringing people in and out of here, so, quickly.
Again, one of my functions here is a training officer, which is no small task, because I'm tasked every day with things from the Attorney General's office, prosecutor's office, things change on a daily basis. But I oversee all the training here. That includes police officers that come on the job here, dispatchers, crossing guards. And the thing that I noticed with part-time employees, unfortunately, is the turnover rate, okay? There's a couple of issues that have to be taken into account here, and I'll give you a perfect example. We advertise for, say, a part-time dispatcher. Contrary to what everybody believes, nobody's kicking in my door, all right? You know how many certified dispatchers I got last year? 1. We hired her here, put her through the process, did the background, did everything we're supposed to do, put her in a field training program with an officer on the desk. I get a phone call in the middle of the night, it was a very busy night, and she proceeds to tell me, Lieutenant, this isn't for me. I make $4 more an hour in Old Bridge as a dispatcher, and I did half the work. Just not for me. So what I have left are people that come in here. Some are truly enthusiastic about doing the job. Some watched it on TV and thought it would be a great experience. This isn't the testing ground for that. Okay, I get these people that come in here, no experience. We have to put them through a background, we have to put them through a physical. I then have to make sure that they're certified in both mandatory courses, 911 officer and EMD. That's 2 weeks. And that's also, we have to provide all the training for that, the books, everything else. So once they get that certificate, I put them on a desk with the training officer. Depending on their experience or their knowledge to take in what they're being taught, that could be 2 to 4 months. And most of these people, again, I've gotten phone calls, this isn't for me. Halfway through a shift, not for me. We're back to ground zero. And unfortunately, as a trainer, this is what I deal with even with the crossing guards. I mean, for $12.35 an hour, I have nobody beating down my door to stand out in a potentially hazardous situation in traffic when you can make more money working at Walmart. So, I mean, the special thing, listen, I was a class 2 special, Rich was, most of us were here. They have their place in law enforcement. But that is to supplement your full-time staff, not to replace them.
Okay, time's up.
Huh?
So-
I get under the buzzer, so.
You got the buzzer.
All right.
So, we just eliminated the overtime for dispatchers. That was a bitter battle. I had emailed Mayor Sealy in September. That was done in December of 2019, so that was eliminated. So I leave you that food for thought for this hire. Also, it might be important because I know about pension contributions and the health care contributions the borough has to make. Our new hire, Rachinsky, he waived health care contributions. And Parsons also doesn't use health care from the borough, so if that's something.
You mentioned this girl that you have in the dispatch that you want to move up. She's on the list for South Brunswick?
They're looking for a female officer, so
Their
if she
starting
goes,
pay
they're gonna
better
grab
than
her.
ours?
I hate to lose her.
Is their starting pay better than ours?
Yes.
By significant amount, or?
We could find out. That's a Google search. It's easy.
I would just be curious about that.
They got a better schedule as
We
well.
just lost somebody to East Brunswick because of dollars and cents.
Listen, well, let me just segue into that. The goal of hiring her was eventually to get to 26, which would hopefully get you a new schedule and Unfortunately, that's a PBA issue. That's a PBA contractual thing, that has to be negotiated. I have no control over that. The other thing is the PBA local is not gonna go for the special twos if it's gonna infringe on any of their accoutrements contractually or overtime wise or anything else. So that was a whole other front to deal with. But the 26th was to get you to a new schedule, and you don't have enough manpower to get a new schedule right now.
26 will give you what, Pittman?
We'll give you a modified Pittman. And if you had about 3 hours, I can have Sergeant Nichols and Richard Sasso tell you how wonderful it is and how it's gonna work. Anytime.
Chief, is the schedule, the modified Pittman schedule, is that something that you would be in favor of if we were able to do something? I know that you're saying it's a PBA issue, but is it something that you would be interested in looking into if the PBA didn't have an issue with it?
Yeah, absolutely. Listen, this is the new generation. Working weekends, I did it for a decade and a half. Still available on the weekends. So the new generation, that doesn't go. So the new schedule gives you what? Every two weekends?
Every other weekend off.
Or 2 weekends off.
2 weekends and then work 2 weekends. 2 weekends work too. That's the modified Pittman. It's still a Pittman, it's
Just
just
2 weekends
how
on,
it's
2
done.
weekends off?
Yep,
Not every other weekend.
that's the regular
That's
Pittman.
the
The
regular.
modified is 2 and 2.
I would like to tell the council and the governing body that the DEA money, and I can't read it because it's like a font 2, the way it printed out, but this is what's in queue right now, pending what's called sharing decision. $828,966.41, $44,650,000, and $477,827. So if I had that money, if I could budget for it, I certainly will. And I would also have everything, but I just don't know when that's coming in. I thought it would be here, honestly, by now. On the almost 45 million, that was an older case. It's anticipated I'm gonna get 1% of that because it's an older case and Adam finished it out, Adam 17, our detective. So the other two should be 9 to 12%. So there's substantial monies to be had here. I just, unfortunately, the way it all works, I can't budget for it, or I certainly will.
Chief, are there restrictions on what you can use that money for?
Yeah, it's law enforcement purposes only, and I have to fill out the same forfeiture money to the county prosecutor's office, then it gets a double look-see from the feds. So,
If I'm not mistaken, it cannot be used for personnel.
yeah, there's no personnel.
And in all fairness, while we're here, to Brittany, the young lady who sits here, I've been on this job for 24 years. I've seen a lot of cops come and go. And like the chief said before, our last round of candidates that came in here, we had one guy losing his job, 2 under potential indictment. I mean, this is what you're getting here. And this isn't a big department where if you get somebody who turns out to be a true load, you just can't dump them somewhere. This is a small place. You have to fit here. And this young lady did very well, and she's a good fit here. And I would really, really hate to see her walk away from this job.
I actually had the opportunity to talk to her, and she was really sharp and on the ball. Who she would be a good fit with.
I'm sorry?
What's her starting pay for that?
What's the start coverage?
Approximately 45,000.
This DEA money, can't use it for personnel, but everything else is?
Equipment, yep.
So those LPRs that you're looking for at the edges of town?
No problem buying a car out of that money, if that
LPRs
money came in.
can come out of
Any
that?
law enforcement equipment that can be used. for
Firearms,
law enforcement
training,
functions.
anything.
Just not personnel.
So you're asking for what, 445,000 for LPRs?
Yeah, well, that was a quote. We do have a loaner that's coming in. You wanna hit on that?
Yeah.
Just, for the people out there, LPRs are license plate readers. That's, I'm just calling what I know them as.
When we transitioned with this Motorola project, they actually offered me a free stationary unit, which is better than the mobile units because the mobile unit's only as good as it's turned on and someone's driving around. We're going to be putting our test unit on East Main Street at the Cleveland Avenue border, and it's going to have both incoming and outgoing. So not only will it read every vehicle that comes in and out of town, but it was also used towards violations for unregistered vehicles. So every day at a certain time I'll log in and the unregistered vehicles that drive by will be issued a ticket and it'll be mailed. It's automatic. So it's not only for safety and purposes of you know, investigations where we get an idea, let's say somebody says somebody's selling drugs in a green car at this time, every time. I can go in, if they're leaving that way, I can put green for the vehicle color, and it'll literally pull up everything in this time frame on these days, and you can start to get a pattern. So the ultimate goal, which a lot of towns are doing, it's more prevalent in New York, but it's starting to come to New Jersey, is if you hit your major entrance and exits to town, you know who's coming and who's going, and you also are able to solve cases faster, as well as the additional revenue from the unregistered vehicles, which is the only ticket you can write with it.
Still $42 for those, or they go up?
54.
Excuse me, that's the only ticket you can write with that?
Yes, but the days that we have it operating and driving around town, due to the massive amount of commuter traffic from other towns, we write anywhere from 10 to 30 in a shift.
On the LPRs on the cars?
Mhm.
Are you impounding the ones you write, or you just write them?
What it is that's one of two tickets allowed to be mailed out as a moving violation. You're allowed to mail out unregistered, you're allowed to mail out the school, passing school bus. The only two tickets you can mail out without stopping and confirming the driver. So we literally, it pops up, I confirm, write it, mail it, because it goes right to the registered owner.
But passing school bus is a moving violation. How do they let you get away with
No,
that?
I'm saying we can't write it with the LPR.
Oh,
What
that's
I'm
what I'm
saying
saying,
is,
okay.
there's only two tickets you can mail. It's
Okay.
that one and that one, which is why people are getting these LPRs, because in the end, it will pay for itself.
So the last item, which is a big item, was always the cars. Every budget cycle, we're always here talking about cars, so I gave you two options. One was the 4 cars, and I'll let Patrolman Sasso expound on that since that's his baby. And the other option was 6 cars, giving one of the Explorers to OEM, and the other one to wherever, First Aid or whoever needed it, which are still in great shape, so.
All right, so back in 2015, some of you were on this diet, some of you were administration here. We know that we started our vehicle plan. At that time, we recognized that we didn't have enough vehicles. We recognized that the vehicles we had were in bad shape. We had to make a lot of repairs to them. We started a plan where we were going to get up to speed, and then instead of going through this undertaking of every year asking, we were going to do 4 vehicles every other year. That plan was held up until 2016. 2017, we did not get any vehicles, and last year we were set to receive 4. We only received 2. On the understanding that this year we would possibly look at rectifying it. I know last year was a tight budget year, and we were going to look at getting what we needed again this year. Now,
The 2018 pickup trucks?
yes, those were the last ones that we had gotten. Now, we have one currently operating on the road. The other one we brought back, and then there was a problem with the new camera system. Had to go back. I should have it back next week. But the other one is currently operating. In our fleet, here's our years for cars. We have a 2008, a 2010, 2 2011s, 5 2014s, 4 2015s, 2 2016s, and 2 2018s. So we have vehicles that are now, the 2008 was purchased in 2007, it's not 13 years old. These vehicles are not as safe as the current vehicles. That's attesting to Patrolman Sylvester's accident. He was in a Crown Vic. Have we all seen the pictures of that accident, of what that car looked like? The back seat was basically in the front.
Is driver's side seat.
You got rear-ended?
Yes.
On radar on Palmetto Boulevard.
A person in a Mustang hit him approximately 35 to 40 miles an hour. Rear hit.
The Mustang crushed
Yep.
the Crown Vic?
Yes.
It crushed it.
Well, the
Let me
Crown
show you
Vic
this
was,
picture.
the Crown Vic was in park mode, which is even worse, because it takes the
There's
road.
no picture of the Crown Vic getting
I
crushed.
saw the car personally, the car.
50 miles an hour, no braking, he got hit, so.
So, how many cars do we have? I know, not vehicles, cars, because I know we have the Yukons and the trucks now, but how many?
Because you know how long.
We have the Tahoes and the trucks now.
There's
Rich, we have 19 total, correct? Cars?
18.
18.
17 if you include the van. Or 18 if you include the van.
Absolutely, clean van.
Yeah, I know. Now, there's only one airbag in that car, and it's in the steering wheel, so it did nothing for him. He took the whole brunt, which is why he's out on the injury, he's out. These new vehicles have 80-mile-an-hour crush ratings, so it's becoming a safety issue. As cars get bigger and more robust, and we're using equipment that's 13 years old, these are why you're going to get injured.
In your budget request with the cars, there was some conversation about